Day 1. I'd heard rumors about what happened to Lauren. I mean, I never even knew her that well, but we'd sort of hung out a few times in high school. Actually, I was sleeping with her for about 2 weeks. She had moved to San Francisco when I was a senior, and we met somehow at a party or something. Back in high school, it was just pot. Maybe I'd do some acid and mushrooms on the weekend. But I smoked pot every day. I was 17 and had been accepted at prestigious universities across the country, and I figured a little partying was due me. I'd worked hard those last 3.5 years. Sure, I'd had some problems smoking weed and drinking too much when I was younger, but that was all behind me. I was smart. I was on the swim team. My writing had been published in Newsweek. I was a great big brother. I got along with my dad and stepmom. I loved them. They were some of my best friends, so I just started smoking some pot, and what harm could that do me anyway? Hell, my dad used to smoke pot. Most everyone in my family did. Our friends did. It was totally accepted. But with me, things were different. In high school, I was rolling blunts and smoking them in the car as I drove to school. Every break in classes had me driving off to get high. We'd go into the hills of Marin County, dropping acid or eating mushrooms, walking through the dry grass and overgrown cypress trees, giggling and babbling incoherently. Plus, I was drinking more and more, sometimes during the day. I almost always blacked out, so I could remember little to nothing of what had happened. It just affected me in a way that didn't seem normal. When I was 11, my family went snowboarding up in Tahoe, and a friend and I snuck into the liquor cabinet after dinner. We poured a little bit from each bottle into a glass, filling it almost 3/4 of the way with a different colored, sweet-smelling liquid. I was curious to know what it felt like to get good and proper drunk. The taste was awful. My friend drank a little bit and stopped, unable to take any more. The thing was, I couldn't stop. I drank some, and then I just had to drink more until the whole glass was drained empty. I'm not sure why. Something was driving me that I couldn't identify and still don't comprehend. Some say it's in the genes. My grandfather drank himself to death before I was born. I'm told I resemble him more than anyone else. A long face with eyes like drops of water running down. Anyway, that night I threw up for probably an hour straight, and then passed out on the bathroom floor. I woke up with almost no memory of what I'd done. My excuse for the vomit everywhere was food poisoning. It scared me, honestly, and I didn't drink again like that for a long time. Instead, I started smoking pot. When I was 12, I was smoking pot every day, sneaking off into the bushes during recess, and that pretty much continued through high school. Lauren and I never really got very close back then. When I heard later that she'd been put in rehab for cocaine abuse and severe bulimia, I guess it wasn't that surprising. We'd both been really screwed up all the time, and I had a history of dating, well, not the most balanced girls. I remember being ashamed to bring her to my house. I remember not wanting my parents to meet her. We'd come in late, and leave early in the morning, whispering so as not to wake up my little brother and sister. Maybe it was them I wanted to shield from Lauren the most. Or, not from Lauren so much as, well, the person I was becoming. I was ashamed of my behavior, but still I kept going forward. It was like being in a car with the gas pedal slammed down to the floor and nothing to do but hold on and pretend to have some semblance of control. But control was something I'd lost a long time ago. Anyway, Lauren was not someone I thought about a whole lot. When she approaches me, I don't even recognize her at first. It's been 5 years. She yells my name. Nick Chef! I jump, turning around to look at her. She is wearing big Jackie O sunglasses and her dyed black hair is pulled back tight. Her skin is pale, pale white, and her features are petite and delicately carved. The San Francisco air is cold, even though the sun has broken through the fog, and she has a long black coat pulled around her. So I think. Then I remember. Lauren, right? Yeah, don't pretend like you don't remember me. No, whatever. What are you doing here? It's a good question. I'd been sober exactly 18 months on April 1st, just 2 days ago. I'd made so much progress. My life was suddenly working, you know? I had a steady job at a rehab in Malibu. I'd gotten back all these things I'd lost. Car, apartment, my relationship with my family. It had seemed like, after countless rehabs and sober livings, I had finally beaten my drug problem, and yet there I was, standing on Haight Street, drunk on Stoli and stoned out on Ambien, which I'd stolen from the med room at the rehab. Honestly, I was as surprised by my own actions as anyone else. The morning of my relapse, I had no idea I was actually going to do it. Not that there weren't ominous signs. In the 12-step program, they tell you to get a sponsor. Mine was a man named Spencer. He was around 40, strong, with a square face and hair that stood on end. He had a wife and a 3-year-old daughter. He spent hours talking with me about recovery. He helped me get into cycling and walked me through the 12 steps. We'd ride our bikes together along the Pacific Coast Highway, up Latigo Canyon or wherever. He'd relate his own experience getting sober from chronic cocaine addiction, but I stopped calling him as often. Maybe I felt I didn't need his help anymore. I seldom went to meetings, and when I did, my mind would talk to me the whole time about how much better I was than everyone else, or how much worse I was, depending on the day. I'd stopped exercising as frequently. I'd stopped taking the psych meds they had me on, a mixture of mood stabilizers and antidepressants. I'd started smoking again. Plus there was Zelda. Zelda was a woman I thought I was madly in love with. She was 14 years older than I was, and, well, she was also engaged to marry another guy, a wealthy real estate broker named Mike. When I started sleeping with her, I tried to justify it to myself. I figured it was her decision, and I wasn't really doing anything wrong, and it was just for fun, and blah, blah, blah. Basically, I thought I could get away with it. I mean, I thought I could stay detached emotionally. I couldn't. She came to represent for me everything I thought would make my life perfect. After all, she'd been married to this famous actor and was an actress, and grew up in Los Angeles, raised by her famous uncle who was also in the movie business. Everyone seems to know her in LA. She's sort of a celebrity, you know? Being with her became my obsession. Ultimately, however, she wouldn't leave her boyfriend for me and got pregnant with his child. I was crushed. I mean, I just couldn't handle it. So yesterday, I relapsed, driving up the 5 drinking from a bottle of Jaeger. So now, I'm standing on Haight Street, and Lauren, this girl I haven't seen or thought about in 5 years, is here, in her long black coat, asking me what I'm doing. I'd driven up from LA the night before and slept in my old, falling-apart Mazda, parked in a lot on the edge of the Presidio, a great expanse of forest and abandoned army housing that stretches out to the cliffs overlooking the Pacific and the San Francisco Bay. A friend of mine, Akira, had once lived there. He occupied a basement apartment on the edge of the Presidio. I'd hoped to find him still living there, but after I wandered around the house some, looking into the dust-smeared windows, it was clear that the place was deserted. It was Akira who'd actually introduced me to crystal meth when I was 18. He was a friend of a friend. He did a lot of drugs, and we immediately gravitated toward each other. Somehow that always seemed to happen. We addicts can always find one another. There must be some strange addict radar or something. Akira was like me, but more strung out at the time. He had dyed red, curling hair and dark, dark eyes. He was thin, emaciated, with hollowed-out features and narrow, dirty fingers. When he offered me that first line of meth, I didn't hesitate. Growing up, I'd heard, never do heroin. Like, the warnings were everywhere, and I was scared. Do heroin, get hooked. No one ever mentioned crystal to me. I'd done a little coke, ecstasy, whatever. I could take it or leave it. But early that morning, when I took those off-white crushed shards up that blue cut plastic straw, well, my whole world pretty much changed after that. There was a feeling like, my God, this is what I've been missing my entire life. It completed me. I felt whole for the first time. I guess I've pretty much spent the last 4 years chasing that first high. I wanted desperately to feel that wholeness again. It was like, I don't know, like everything else faded out. All my dreams, my hopes, ambitions, relationships, they all fell away as I took more and more crystal up my nose. I dropped out of college twice, my parents kicked me out, and basically, my life unraveled. I broke into their house, I would steal checks from my father and write them out to myself to pay for my habit. When I had a job at a coffee shop, I stole hundreds of dollars from the register. Eventually, I got arrested for a possession charge. My little brother and sister watched me get carted away in handcuffs. When my then 7-year-old brother tried to protect me, running to grab me from the armed policeman, they screamed for him to get back. His small body crumpled on the asphalt, and he burst into body-shaking tears, sobbing and gasping for breath. Then there were the treatment centers, 2 in Northern California, 1 in Manhattan, and 1 in Los Angeles. I spent the last 3 years in and out of 12-step programs. Throughout all of it, the underlying craving never really left me, and that was accompanied by the illusion that, the next time, things would be different. I'd be able to handle it better. I didn't want to keep hurting people. I didn't want to keep hurting myself. A girlfriend of mine once said to me, I don't understand. Why don't you just stop? I couldn't think of an answer. The fact was, I couldn't just stop. That sounds like a cop-out, but it's the truth. It's like I'm being held captive by some insatiable monster that will not let me stop. All my values, all my beliefs, everything I care about, they all go away the moment I get high. There's a sort of insanity that takes over. I convince myself and believe very strongly that this time, it will be different. I tell myself that after such a long time clean, these last 18 months, I can go back to casual use. So I walk down to the Haight and start talking to the first street kid who asks me for a cigarette. This turns out to be Destiny. He is a boy around my age, 20 or 21, with snarled dreads and striking blue eyes. He has the narrow face of a fox or coyote, and he's hiding a can of beer indiscreetly in the sleeve of his oversized jacket. He is distracted and out of it as I'm talking to him. I keep trying to get him to focus on what I'm saying. Eventually, he agrees to introduce me to a friend of his who deals speed, so long as I buy him another beer. Dude, he says, his voice thick and strained. I'm gonna tell you straight, man, I'm for reals. My boy's gonna hook you up fat, that's no joke. You ask anybody at Holmes, they'll tell you, Destiny is alright. Everyone's cool with me because I'll be cool with everyone. He rambles on like that, pausing only to high-five pretty girls as they pass. As for me, the vodka and sleeping pills have calmed me down enough to keep me breathing through all this, though the blind hunger for the high that only meth can bring has me pretty anxious. There had been times in the past where I got burned copying drugs on the street. On Mission Street, I tried to buy some heroin once and came away with a balloon filled with a chunk of black soap. I smoked cigarettes, one after the other, trying to keep Destiny on point, getting the phone number of his connection. It was right before Lauren stopped me that Destiny told me to wait while he went and got his boy's number from a friend. He walked off down the street, and then Lauren is standing there, asking me what I'm doing. My first instinct, of course, is to lie. The wind is blowing the street clear, and Lauren takes off her sunglasses, revealing those transparent green eyes of hers. What I say is, actually, I just moved back here from LA, where I'd been sober over a year. But now I'm doing the whole relapse thing, and I'm just waiting to hook up some meth. I heard you had some trouble like that too. Is that true? If she's surprised, she doesn't show it. Yeah, she says, her voice light and soft. How much are you getting? A gram, I hope. What are you doing here? I was going to get my tattoo filled in, but, well, now I guess I'm going with you, aren't I? You need any money? No. She puts her glasses back on. What about a car? Yeah, we could use your car. Mine's over on Lake Street. All right, then. What I said about the money is sort of true. I have $3,000 saved up, and for me, that is a lot of money. I'm sure that it'll be enough to get me started on a life working and using in San Francisco. The rehab I'd worked at in Malibu catered to wealthy, often celebrity clients. They paid well, and sober, I had few expenses. I can afford a $60 gram. In the next couple days, I'll start looking for work. I mean, I've got it all figured out. Really. We stand watching the people on the street, walking from shop to shop. What have you been doing? I ask. It's been a long time. 5 years. But like you said, I had some trouble. I'm working now, though, for my mom. I have about 4 months clean. But you're over it. Hell, I've just been waiting for the right person to go out with. Really? I don't know. You look good. Thank you. It's nice to see you, too. Yeah. I put a hand on her shoulder, feeling her body tense up. Here he comes. Destiny is sort of strutting or limping or something down the street. I introduce him to Lauren. Rockin', he says. We can go meet him in like half an hour. Here's his number. He hands me a crumpled piece of paper. You're gonna get me that beer, right? Of course. I'll go get my car, says Lauren. I walk into the liquor store on the corner and buy 2 40s of Old E and another pack of Export A's. Lauren pulls her green Nissan around and we pile in, me in front, Destiny in back. I pass in one of the 40s and drink a bunch of mine down. Lauren refuses to take it when I offer her some, but she pops a few Klonopins because she says she's gonna freak out if she doesn't. She gives me one, and I figure it won't do anything since I used to take so much of it, but I chew it up anyway, hoping it might take the edge off or something. Destiny directs us out of the Haight and Lower Haight, down Market and up into the Tenderloin. The rows of Victorian houses give way to corporate high-rises, and then the gritty, twisting streets of the San Francisco ghetto, cheap, monthly hotel rooms, panhandlers, small-time hustlers, dealers, and junkies. Neon signs off during the day advertise strip clubs and peep shows. The sky has blown completely blue, but the sun is blocked by the falling down buildings, leaving everything cold and windswept and peeling. We stop the car on the corner of Jones and Ellis, watching the scourge of walking dead as they drift down the street. One man, a skinny white guy with no hair on his head, but a lot on his face, stands in front of an ATM machine. He turns his head toward the sky every minute or so, screaming, "Please! Please!" Then he looks back at the ATM. Nothing comes out. "Here they come," says Destiny, getting out of the car with the 40. "Thanks a lot, kids." "Cool, man, thanks." "Have fun," he says, nodding toward Lauren knowingly. She maybe blushes a little. A young kid greets Destiny and then jumps into Lauren's back seat. He is accompanied by a tall, skinny white man with gray hair and a face that looks like a pile of pastry dough. The boy is thin but strong, with a round nose and darting eyes. He wears a black bandana tied around his head and ratty, baggy clothes. "Yo, what's up? I'm Gak," he says. The older man says nothing. "Hey, I'm Nick. This is Lauren." "Cool, cool. You want a G, right?" His voice comes out in quick, hoarse bursts. I just nod. Word, he says. Yo, this is my dad, Mike. Mike waves stupidly. Anyway, continues Gak, you're gonna give me the money and I'm gonna go get your shit. My dad will wait here. Dude, there's no way. I'm not letting you walk out of here with my money. Come on, yo, there's no other way. My dad will stay here and look, here's my cell phone and my wallet and I'll leave my skateboard. Just wait 2 minutes, okay? I look at Lauren. She shakes her head, but I say, fuck. All right. I hand him $60 and he leaves. Part of me expects never to see him again, but he returns 10 minutes later with our sack. He comes all out of breath. Yo, I'm hooking you up so fat, he says, handing over a very not fat baggie of white crystals. Dude, I say, this is fucking pin as hell. No way, man. I take out one of the pieces and put it in my mouth. The bitter chemical sour makes me shudder, but it tastes familiar. All right, fine. I say, word. You have any points? Asks Lauren. I'm proud of her. I hadn't even thought about getting Riggs, and there she is, coming right out and saying it. Yeah. You all don't mess around, huh? No, we both say at the same time. Out of his pocket, Gak pulls a pack of maybe 5 syringes held together by a rubber band. Those are cleans? I ask. For sure. All right, I say. We'll take those, and we're cool on the short sack. Dude, that sack is fat. Whatever. All right. Well, call if you need more. We will, I say. And with that, Gak and his dad leave the car, and Lauren and I drive off with fresh needles and about a gram of crystal methamphetamine. I remember Lauren's dad's house from the time we'd been together back in high school, but I also remembered it from when I was much younger. The place is a European-style mansion in Seacliff. It is 4 or 5 stories high, sort of boxy, with giant bay windows, bordered by faded green shutters. Vines climb the grey, washed walls, and white roses grow along the sloping stairway. It looks out on the ocean, rough and pounding, relentless. The top story, a bright, sun-drenched loft, used to be the playroom of my best friend and sort of brother, Misha. See, the divorce went down like this. My dad had an affair with a woman, Flicka, then left my mom for her. Misha was her son. We all moved in together when I was 5. Misha was my age, with long, white blonde hair, blue eyes, and a famous actor father. He threw tantrums and would bite me, but we were also very close. His father was the one who had lived where Lauren's father lives now. I would go over there and play video games with Misha, or build Lego spaceships, or draw, or whatever. Walking in the door with Lauren, backpack full of drugs, drunk and stumbling, I can't help but feel a tightness in my stomach, thinking back to the child that I had been. I remember going on walks with my dad out to Fort Point, a jetty that stretches out underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. I remember eating sushi and tempura in Japantown, playing on the ships docked off Hyde Street, riding my bike through Golden Gate Park, being taken to the old Castro movie theater, where a man played the organ before every show. I remember my championship Little League team in Sausalito, birthday parties at the San Francisco Zoo, going to art galleries and museums. I'd been so small that my dad would shelter me from the cold by hiding me in his sweater. Our heads would stick out of the stretched-out wool neckline together. I remember the smell of him, that indescribable smell of Dad. He was so there for me always, especially when my mom moved down south. Sober and living in LA, I'd talked on the phone with him almost every day. We talked about everything from movies to art to girls to nothing at all. I wonder how long it will be before the calls start coming in. How long before he knows I've gone out, relapsed, thrown it all away. Lauren's room is in the basement, basically just a large canopy bed and TV and not much else. There are books and clothes and things all over the place. The shades are drawn over the windows, and Lauren plugs in a string of Christmas lights above the built-in shelves along the wall. She puts a CD in the player, something I've never heard before. Come on, let's hurry up, she says. My parents will be home soon, and I want to get out of here before they come. Cool. You know my parents' weekend house in Point Reyes will be empty tonight. We can go stay out there. I gotta work tomorrow morning, says Lauren. That's fine, we'll get you back. My parents are gonna freak out if I don't come home tonight. Make something up. Yeah, fuck. All right. Can I use this? I ask, holding up a blown glass jar, maybe an inch high, swirled with streaks of white and green. Sure, whatever. You got a Q-tip? Fuck, yeah, but let's go. All right, chill. She rummages around and gets me the Q-tip. I rip off the cotton from one end. I go to the sink in her bathroom and fill the jar with a thin layer of water. I pour in a bunch of the crystal and crush it up with the back of a Bic lighter I have in my pocket. I hold the flame to the base of the jar until the liquid starts to smoke and bubble. I drop in the cotton and then pull it all up into 2 of the syringes. I pass the one with less over to Lauren and set about making a fist with my right hand, watching the veins swell easily. My body is so clean, so powerful. Over a year needle-free and my veins reveal themselves instantly. I think back to how difficult it had once been to hit, when the veins all began collapsing, hiding under the skin. But now the veins jump up, right away. I pull back the plunger, watch the blood rush into the mixture, and then slam it all home. I cough. The chemical lets off this gas as it reaches your heart, or brain, or whatever, and it rushes up your throat, choking you. I cough, choking like that. My eyes water, my head pounding like maybe I'll pass out, my breathing going so fast. God damn, I say, the lights dimming out, and really, I mean, there's no feeling like it. The high is perfection. I turn and see Lauren push off, and as it hits her, I kiss her without saying anything, and she kisses me back, and it is all so effortless. Not like being sober and consumed by worry and fear and inhibitions. I kiss her harder, but she pushes me back, saying, Come on, let's go to the beach. We get out of there fast, and then we are walking in the sunlight, back toward Lauren's car. It is a different world, man. Heightened, exciting. I light a cigarette and my fingers move spasmodically, and I start talking. The waves of the drug keep sweeping through me, and my palms turn sweaty, and I grit my teeth. I tell Lauren about the book I've written, and the job I want to get at this magazine in LA, and suddenly, it doesn't seem like these are impossible dreams anymore. I feel like it is all happening. That my book is getting published, and I can get any job I want, and I'm going to take Lauren along with me in my new life. Nothing, I mean nothing can stop me. You know, says Lauren, my parents are going out of town next week, so you should stay with me in the house, unless you have somewhere else to go. No, I say, everything fitting together perfectly in my world, in my mind, in destiny, and fate, and blah, blah, blah. That'll be great. They're gone for 2 weeks. I laugh. Baker Beach is almost empty. We pull into the parking lot and look out at the pounding shore break, sucking up the brown, coarse sand and dashing it to pieces against the slick, jagged rocks. The Golden Gate Bridge looms up to the right, and across the channel are the Marin Headlands, lush green rolling hills dotted with eucalyptus and oak, the red earth cliffs dropping down to the swirling water below. We get out of the car, and I take Lauren's cold, little soft hand in mine. We walk down along the dunes, and the wind is blowing sand in my face, and suddenly I stop and strip off all my clothes down to my boxer briefs and run headlong into the surf. I hear Lauren giggling behind me. Then nothing but the roar of the ocean and the cold, cold, cold. The current is strong, and I'm immediately struggling against it, ducking the swells and feeling the pull out the mouth of the bay. But I'm a good swimmer. I navigate past the rocks and begin paddling into the waves as they break along the beach. Growing up, I'd surfed all along this coastline. My friends and I would stay out sometimes 5 or 6 hours. In the end, I'd gotten very comfortable in the water, able to ride the big waves off Ocean Beach or down in Santa Cruz. I'd watch the pelicans riding the updrafts of the swells, or sea otters eating crabs, floating on their backs. I'd wake up early, heading out before the sun rose to get the morning glass. But as I got deeper and deeper into my using, my surfboards went untouched on their racks in the garage. I lost interest. There's something devastating about that, though I try not to think about it. I mean, here I am, body surfing the breakers at Baker Beach, feeling my breath catch in my lungs from the frigid water. The muscle memory is all there, in my arms and chest. I look back at Lauren, stripped and lying in the warm sand. I take another wave in, then rush up to her, kissing the white of her stomach and listening to her laugh and shiver. Then I run on, up and down the beach. Fast, freezing, but not feeling it really. I look at everything, the trees and shells and tall seagrass. It all seems so new and exciting. My little sister Daisy never failed to point out the delicate flowers or intricately shaped stones as we went on walks together. She was so present and filled with wonder. Meth gives me that childlike exuberance. It allows me to see, to really see. The world appears miraculous, and I laugh and run down the beach until I'm gasping for air, then back to Lauren. She smiles at me, and I kiss her some more. That night, I drive her car through the winding back roads, out to our house in Point Reyes. The drive is so familiar. I know every turn. It's the same route I use to get back from school every afternoon. We pass the little towns of San Anselmo and Fairfax, curving beneath the redwood forest of Samuel P. Taylor State Park. Then we come out on the green pasture land, obscured by the darkness and fog. We turn up our street, steep, steep, bordered by dense woods on either side. The car sputters some, but makes it, taking me home. My parents' house isn't huge or anything, but it is designed by some famous architect. It's sort of very Japanese and minimalist, with mirrors and windows all over the place. It looks out on maybe half an acre of garden. Wild, tangled vines, hedges, oaks, poplars. Gravel paths twist through the brush, and in the spring and summer there are flowers everywhere. Seeing that the driveway is empty and the lights are out, I creep along to the different doors and windows and things. It's all locked. I climb the faded wooden gate, wander over to the back doors until I find one that isn't deadbolted solid. I yank it open, breaking the base of the door where it has been secured to the floor. Turning on as few lights as possible, I go through the house to the front and let Lauren in. "Jesus," she says. "I remember these paintings." My stepmother is an artist. The walls of our house are covered with giant swirling canvases. The oil images are dark yet organic. Eyes, organs, branches, shapes repeated over and over. "They're beautiful," I say. "So haunting, right?" "Yeah." We go up to the living room, and I put music on the stereo, some electronic stuff I left the last time I'd been home. I open a bottle of sake I find in the closet and pour a glass. Lauren looks at all the art books and things on the shelves. I look at the photographs of my little brother and sister on the windowsill. There is one of Jasper in his lacrosse uniform, smiling. There is Daisy, who's just 2 years younger than Jasper, dressed as an elf, with a fake beard and her tangled hair pulled back. And there is the whole family together. My stepmom, her parents, brother, sister, my dad, my aunt and uncle, my brother, sister, cousins, and on the far right, me. Walking through the house, I feel dirty. Like I'm this charcoal stain, polluting everything I touch. I can't even look at the goddamn photographs. It hurts too much. I drink the sake down. "Let's go take a shower," I say. "Yeah. You want to fix some more first?" "Definitely." We shoot up and take a shower. We have sex in my old bed until my knees are rubbed raw. After that, I smoke cigarettes and look for stuff to steal. I take a guitar and a couple jackets, but nothing bigger than that. Oh, and I need a notebook, so I grab this black thing with Powerpuff Girls stickers on the cover. It turns out to be my sister's diary. Day 4. We spend the night in some kitschy Art Deco motel off Lombard, the outside all mosaicked with bright-colored tiles. Lauren doesn't actually stay past midnight. Her parents were worried and wondering where she is. I listen to her talking with her father on the phone. Her voice trembles, wanting desperately to sound... what? Innocent? Something like that. Of course, there had been times when I'd done the same thing. Lying about being sober, trying to hide the fact that I'd relapsed. Lauren is able to convince her parents, at least for now. They believe her, I suppose, because they want to. My parents had been that way. I got thrown into my first treatment center when I was 18. I had been doing meth for only about 6 months, but already my life had begun falling apart. I dropped out of college and ended up having a sort of breakdown, wandering the streets and talking to people who weren't there. I didn't really come out of it until a police car was pulling up beside me. The officer threatened to arrest me, but eventually let me go. My dad helped me get into rehab 5 days later, a large Victorian-style, falling-down mansion on Fell and Steiner. I still remember walking in there that first day. It had threadbare red carpeting, a rotted, creaking stairway, and long, misshapen, warped hallways leading to room after room of beds. There must have been around 50 of us in that house, all men. We had groups all day where we were educated about substance abuse, 12 steps, and how to live life sober. Walking through those green-painted wooden doors, my whole body was shaking, and I felt like maybe I'd throw up or something. My dad was there beside me, wearing that same old wool sweater he used to shelter me in as a child. His hair was clipped short, black and gray. His square glasses obscured his eyes, which were red from almost crying. Maybe he was shaking too. "Dad, please," I begged him. "I'll stop, I promise. Please, I don't need to do this." "You can't come home, Nick." "But Dad, I don't belong here." I was wrong. I knew it the first group I went to. One of the residents, Johnny, a squat little man with scraggy facial hair and a dyed black mohawk, told his story. He talked about his descent into crack cocaine addiction. What struck me wasn't so much the specifics of his story, but rather the feelings he described. He talked about how until he started using, he had always felt like some alien, different from everybody. I think what he said was, "I felt like everyone else had gotten this instruction manual that explained life to them, but somehow I just missed it. They all seemed to know exactly what they were doing, Well, I didn't have a clue. That is, until I found drugs and alcohol. Then it was like my world suddenly went from black and white to technicolor. Of course, that had been my experience too. But it didn't mean I was willing to change my behavior. I loved drugs. I loved what they did for me. They relieved me of that terrible sense of isolation I had always felt. They gave me the manual to life that Johnny had described. I could not give that up. But my parents were so hopeful, and the counselors would give you more privileges if you cooperated, so I did. I said what they wanted me to say. I shared about my commitment to repairing the damage I had caused. I talked about being willing to adopt the spiritual principles outlined in the 12 steps. And I suppose part of me meant it. I didn't want to become like some of the other men at Olhoff House, grizzled, toothless, having lost everything, but I still had this feeling like it could never happen to me. I had a 4.0 in high school, for Christ's sake. I was a published writer. I came from a good family. Besides, I was too young to really be an addict. I was just experimenting, right? They released me 30 days later, and I moved into a halfway house in the city. I stayed sober 3 days. Then one night, I said I was going to a meeting, but drove to hook up Crystal instead. The car just seemed to drive itself across the bridge to Oakland. I never came back that night. When my parents found out, I was forced to go into another 30-day program in Napa. After that, I managed to stay clean for over a month. But when I went away to college in Amherst, Massachusetts, I quickly relapsed again. This time, however, I was able to hide it from my parents. As my behavior grew more erratic, stealing credit cards, writing checks to myself, and my lies more improbable, I just wanted to buy presents for Jasper and Daisy. My dad continued to dismiss what was happening. I was wasting away in front of him. By the time I finished my first year of school, my using had progressed to the point where I could no longer really hide it. At first, it was just drinking and smoking pot, a little acid, but then I started asking around to get my hands on some meth. But since there was no crystal I could find in western Massachusetts, I started using heroin. I'd drive my girlfriend's car into the slums of Hollyhock and just walk around till the offers started coming in. There was little doubt as to what a young white kid was doing wandering those streets. But the drug was expensive, and snorting the white granulated powder was a waste. That was my excuse to start sticking myself with needles. Putting the drug straight into the vein allowed me to conserve it a little more. I stole the syringes from the science lab. I taught myself to shoot up by looking at a diagram on the internet. It was a messy process. I'd miss the vein and pump the drug right into my muscles. It would burn so bad. I didn't realize the veins were just under the skin's surface, so I'd dig way too deep. Before long, my arms were covered in puncture marks, and I'd lost a lot of weight. When I came home for summer vacation, I had my first experience with opiate withdrawals. It was just like in the movies. I was throwing up, shivering, sweating, scratching at my skin like there were termites crawling underneath. At first I tried lying to my parents, saying I had a stomach flu or something. The first moment I could get away, I went to get some meth from my friends in the city. Once I started IVing that drug, well, that was pretty much the end. After being off crystal for so long, my tolerance had gone back to nothing. Shooting it, the effect was so powerful, I plunged immediately into a period of about a week where, to this day, I have no idea what I did. I came out of this blackout in my bed at my parents' house. I could hear crying from the living room. My little brother's voice was shattered by tears. "Where is it? Where is it?" I felt that familiar sickness in my stomach. "Are you sure it was in there?" my dad asked. "Yes," wailed Jasper. "I had $5 in there. Daisy, you took it." "No, I didn't." She was crying too and screaming. I got out of bed and started to pack. I didn't remember taking the money, but I knew I had. There was nowhere for me to go, really, but I couldn't stay. I filled my bag with as much as I could carry. I hoisted it on my shoulder, put my eyes on the floor, and started walking out of there. Out in the living room, my dad and stepmom stood blocking my exit, their faces red and contorted. "Where are you going?" my father demanded, on the verge of yelling. "I'm leaving." "Nick, we know you're using again." "Yeah," I said, my head down. "I'm not coming back." "This is bullshit," my stepmom exploded, stomping across the room and slamming a door somewhere. "You can't just leave," my dad said, the tears coming now. "I have to. We'll get you help." "No, I need to do this." "Nick, no, stop." He reached out and tried to physically stop me. I pushed him hard. "What the hell are you doing?" I screamed. "Jesus Christ, you people suffocate me!" The truth was, I didn't want to stop. It's not like I enjoyed stealing or hurting my dad or whatever. I mean, I hated it. But I was so scared of coming off the drugs. It was like this horrible, vicious cycle. The more I used, the more I did things I was ashamed of. And the more I had to use, so I never had to face that. When I reached a certain point with my drug use, going back just seemed like too far a journey. Accepting responsibility, admitting guilt, making restitution, hell, just saying I'm sorry. It had become too daunting. All I could do was move forward and keep doing everything in my power to forget the past. So I marched out into the hot summer air, I hitchhiked to the bus stop, and made my way to my friend Akira's. After that, my parents really stopped believing anything I said. But Lauren obviously hasn't taken things as far as I have. Her parents are still willing to give her the benefit of the doubt or something. So she leaves me alone in that motel room, and I write and draw for a while, listen to CDs, then actually sleep a few hours. When I wake up, I'm hungry and almost out of meth. I call Gak and he agrees to meet me at 12:30 in the TL. I drive to North Beach to get breakfast. When I was little, maybe 6 or 7, my dad and I lived at the top of California Street. It was a high-rise apartment that looked out on the cable cars and the Gothic towers of Grace Cathedral. It was across the street from a small park with a sandbox, swings, and a wooden play structure. My dad would take me there to play in the mornings, then we'd walk together down to North Beach, the Italian district of San Francisco. We'd go to Café Trieste, a rustic coffee shop on the corner of Grant. I would hold his calloused hand and watch the pigeons and the cracks in the sidewalk. Inside the cafe, my dad would order me hot chocolate and a raspberry pastry ring. We would sit at a corner table, me drawing and my father writing in a notebook. He would drink cappuccinos. Sometimes we wouldn't write or draw at all, we'd just talk. I'd run my fingers over the mosaic tabletop and smell the coffee and ask my dad questions about things. He would make jokes and tell me stories. Opera would play from the jukebox. After breakfast, maybe we'd walk over to City Lights Books, a damp, earthy-smelling printing house and bookshop. We'd walk past the sex show parlors and strip bars. After dark, women in tight leather costumes would hang around in front of the entrances, luring in passing Johns. I remember thinking they were superheroes. Wonder Woman, Catwoman, Supergirl. I would talk with them and they all knew my name. Driving through North Beach this morning, I look out at the streets of my childhood. I stop my car and walk up to Café Trieste. Men and women stand outside talking and smoking. The sky has opened up blue and clear, the wind blowing hard off the bay. I go inside and order some coffee and a sandwich. I sit in the back at the same old table, the same old music coming from the speakers. I shoot up the last of the gram in their bathroom. The place is small and poorly lit. Someone keeps banging on the door because it's taking me so long to find a vein. Once I hit, I start to pump in the mixture, but my hand shakes and I shoot a bunch of it into the muscle of my arm. It burns something terrible, and I groan in pain. My whole right arm goes numb and aches. I curse loudly and go to meet Gak. There is blood all over my arm when I walk out of there. Gak has me meet him in front of the hotel where he lives with his dad. It is named after some saint, but it looks like hell. Barred windows, the paint peeling down to nothing, stripped away. He has a teener for me. I ask him if he wants to shoot some up with me right then, since I pretty much wasted the last one. He agrees and we go inside. The woman who runs the hotel is Indian and wears a traditional sari with a bindi on her forehead and everything. She makes me give her my driver's license in order to go up. She scowls through her thick, oversized glasses, her hair pulled back tight. You stay only 1 hour, otherwise you pay. I follow Gak up the rotted-out, stained, carpeted stairs to the 3rd floor. Hollowed-out men and women pace the halls, smoking cigarettes and calling out to us with offers of different crap we can buy. Hey kids, says a stoned-out-looking black man with a bald, shiny head. You gotta get rid of this keyboard. You wanna buy it? He holds up a small electric piano out for us to see. Does it work? Asks Gak. Yeah, man, it works good. You wanna try it out? Sure. Nick, you got a second? Sure, fine, whatever. We follow the man back to his room. What it looks like is, well, just trashed. The bed has no sheets or anything, and it looks like it is covered in dried blood. The floor is all ash and wrappers and porno mags and beer cans and tinfoil and videotapes. The man introduces himself as Jim. He shakes our hands. He clears off some clothes from the bed. He plugs the piano in, switches it on, and plays a simple chord progression, singing some R&B love song. His voice is deep and moving. Right on. How much? Asks Gak. 20? 20? All right, 10. Look, man, I just want to get high, that's all. $10 will get me through the night. All right, $10. Gak hands him the money. Somehow he manages to pull exactly $10 out of his pocket without exposing the rest of his wad. The man takes the money quickly and stuffs it in his jeans. Right on. We walk back out into the hallway and into Gak's room. This is so great, says Gak, holding up the keyboard. Yeah, that'll be fun to mess around with. No, man, you don't understand. This is a start, a first step in recognizing my dream. I'm gonna start making music. I don't know what to say about that. Gak's room is even more trashed than Jim's was. Gay porn and cigarette butts and ripped paper and wrappers and shoes and jars of peanut butter and boxes of cookies are scattered all over the floor and bed. There is a wash basin in one corner filled with dishes. A computer, put together with mismatching parts, sits on the dresser. The fluorescent lights shine too bright and buzz overhead. Gak sets about clearing off a space to try out the keyboard. Hey man, I say, you got any more rigs or what? Yeah, there's some cleans in that bag over there. He points to a brown paper bag on the bedside table. I reach over and find the needles and set about making us 2 big-ass shots. Gak asks if I want him to shoot me up. I hold my arm, and he inserts the point effortlessly and efficiently right into my vein. There is something chilling and erotic about the whole thing. He pumps the drug up inside me, and I cough and feel the rush, and it is so lovely. I mean, really. Gak shoots himself up, and I say, hey, you want to walk around with me or something? Walk around? Yeah, man. I've been away from the city for over 2 years. All right, cool. We walk back down the stairs. I get my ID back from the Indian woman, and then we're out on the street, moving fast down toward the water. Was that really your dad the other day? I ask, just trying to think of something to say. Gak stuffs his hands in his pockets, his arms jerking convulsively. Yeah, man. You live together? Yeah. I never knew him until a year ago. I was adopted when I was 2 or something. Weird, man. How'd you all hook up again? I guess he just decided he wanted to meet me, so he came and found me at my adopted parents' house. And you just went to go live with him? Yeah. He's pretty cool. Sometimes he'll bring guys back to the room, which is kind of fucked up. Guys? Uh-huh. He's gay. We walk on. The clouds are blowing fast overhead, and I keep smoking cigarettes and bumming them out to Gak. Gak talks a lot of nonsense about different things, his plans for the future, things like that. I'm not sure where the idea to ask Gak to help me comes from. Suddenly I just trust him completely, and I come out with it, walking down Market, toward the shadow of the Bay Bridge. Look, man, I say, I'm just putting this out there, so hear me out for a second. I've got about $2,500 left, okay? I've been sober 18 months working, and I saved that up. Now, with a habit like I've got, I'm gonna burn through that pretty quick unless I can figure out some way to make some money. So, here's what I was thinking. I don't really know you, right? And you don't know me, but you've been pretty cool to me so far, and I have this feeling about you. You felt it too, huh? He says, stopping to pick up a crumpled bag on the sidewalk. He looks inside, finds nothing, and then throws it down again. Yeah, I say. I knew we were gonna be friends. What? Yep. When I saw you that first day? Maybe I did too. Look, I really respect you and all, and I was just thinking we could buy some big quantity of meth, and then break it down and sell it together. Word. We should cut it. Cut it? Yeah, man. We'll buy a bunch of real good shit. Then we cut it with Epsom salts or something. I'll sell that shit so fast, man, and we'll be able to use it for free. Maybe get a place to stay. I could work for you. We could start our own syndicate, man. We'll get walkie-talkies and shit. Well, just think about it, man. For sure. And you know someone that could get us quantity for pretty cheap? I think so. Let me just make some calls. You want to do this now? Well, all right, sure. And hey, do you know where I can get some heroin? No doubt. What do you want me to work on first? The H, I guess. Cool, brother. Let me see your phone. Bullet will be able to help us out. Bullet? Yeah, I'll page him. Word. Just let me get another cigarette. I give him 2. Bullet is homeless. He is tall and thin, with a carved-up face and greasy hair slicked back. His nose is sort of twisted and broken. There's an off-white scar running down his face, and his Adam's apple sticks out dramatically. He wears a backward baseball hat, loose-fitting pants, combat boots, and he smells like stale sweat and urine. His walk is clumsy, with those spindly legs of his, and a head that is continuously bobbing back and forth. Gak, man, how come you never call me? He whines when he talks, always. Dude, I've been busy. But you guys want to score some dope, huh? Yeah, I say. Well, I got a number. But maybe we could work out a deal or something before I give it up. Gak and I drove to meet Bullet at the Safeway on Church and Market. It is a well-known hangout for street kids and runaways. For one thing, you can go into Safeway and graze out of the dried fruit and nut bins without too much trouble. Plus, there is one of those private self-cleaning toilets out front that is great to shoot up in. It is already getting to be dark, and the lights on Twin Peaks are flickering on and off, on and off. A deal like what? Like you give me a nice fat shot in exchange for the hookup? No problem. The girl's name is Candy. Here's the number. Don't lose it. He writes it on the front page of my sister's diary that I've stolen. There is a drawing of a girl with pigtails pointing at blotchy squares on a wall. Underneath it, Daisy'd written, "We are in L.A. with Nick. We went to a museum. We saw Napoleon things." That had been this past January, just 2 months earlier. My family had driven down to see me, and we'd all gone to the Museum of Jurassic Technology on Venice Boulevard. Daisy went on to describe the museum and what she ate for lunch. Then she wrote something about seeing me and how I looked sad. She said it made her stomach feel all fluttery. Reading it, I know just how she felt. My stomach feels fluttery. I wonder if there might be a way to get the diary back to her. It was the last thing I ever wanted to take from her, and yet, well, I did it. That's always how it goes for me, isn't it? Anyway, I call Candy. Her voice is so soft I can barely hear her, but I managed to convince her to meet me at the video store around the corner. She shows up in a yellow Cadillac with a tattered fur coat and dyed black hair that is light at the roots. She wears thick pancake makeup over broken-out skin. She is probably around 30-something. "You want 2 grams, right?" "Yeah." She hands me 4 tiny balls wrapped in colored wax paper. I give her $80. "This is great," she says. "Do you always buy this much at one time?" "I guess." "Well, call me anytime." When I get back to my car, Bullet and Gak are hanging out, laughing and making fun of each other. "Gak told me your plan," says Bullet. "You guys are going to start your own little dealing syndicate, huh?" "Sort of." "Well," he says, "you'll never be able to do it without my help." "Why?" "'Cause every crime syndicate needs some muscle." And with that, he pulls out a giant Bowie knife from somewhere and waves it through the air. I suck in a bunch of breath all at once. "You got that junk?" he demands. "Yeah." "Well, let's go then." He puts the knife away, and we drive down some side street to shoot up. Gak doesn't want any heroin, but he sits with us. I melt down half a gram of the sweet-smelling black tar in the jar I took from Lauren's. We suck up the syrupy brown liquid in 2 needles and push it all home. I wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. My head starts to tingle, and I feel waves of pulsing calm sweep over me. My body goes slack, and I look over at Bullet. He is smiling so big. I drift off somewhere for a minute. It is like everything is infused with this warmth and okayness. I laugh. Shit's good. Word. "So, Gak," I say, "should we let Bullet in?" "Hell yeah, man. He's a good kid." "That what you want, Bullet?" "I'm your boy." "Awesome." "We should come up with a name or something," says Gak. "We're going to start the next big street gang in San Francisco. Before long, we'll have all the kids working for us." We sit back, talking on like that. I nod in and out, not giving a damn about one goddamn thing, just knowing that it is all going to work out. Day 5. We drop Bullet off around 2 a.m. He has to meet some guys about a bike theft racket. Basically, they just go around with bolt cutters, breaking all the locks, and pile the bikes into an old van. It's risky, but Bullet needs the money, and he's strong and quick. Gak and I have nowhere to go, so I ask if he wants to drive out to Point Reyes with me. We shot a little more speed to clear my head from the H, and I feel real balanced out. I'm having fun taking the tight, winding turns through the redwoods. We're listening to this Japanese punk rock music really loud, and maybe Gak doesn't like it, but I don't care. Gak has half a joint, which we split, and the weed on top of everything is making me hallucinate pretty good. The road is all green and pink tracers. The branches hanging down are twisting, knotted veins, spider lattices, a crawling insect sky. Every time a car passes from the other direction, I'm swallowed in the bright, bright lights. I swerve, but hang on. We're laughing and talking as we pull into the driveway, but then I see my parents' car there. The house is dark, but they must be inside. Fuck. I thought you said they wouldn't be here. I guess my little brother and sister don't have school tomorrow. I wonder if they can tell I've been there, if they've noticed the missing guitar and things, or the back door I broke open. I wonder about it for a minute, sitting there, feeling sick to my stomach. I imagine them walking in, looking around. Those first moments of doubt and realization. Did you leave that towel there? Did you drink that bottle of wine? Were you in Nick's room? Whose shoes are these? Oh my God, someone's been in the house. I pull the car out of there quick, feeling more guilty and humiliated than anything else. I try to push that all out of my mind, though, saying, "It's cool, I know where we can go." We head out farther along the point, past the town of Iverness. The salt-crusted buildings are all nearly rotted through and breaking apart. The old rust-colored Iverness store sits in the middle of the town's only block. They have everything from groceries to clothing to videos. I remember going there with my friends after school, getting high, and playing the one arcade game they had for hours. We pumped so many quarters into that thing. I tried to relate something along those lines to Gak, but he's actually fallen asleep for a minute, so I drive on. Virginia and Adam's house is empty. They're like my parents, in that they have a weekday home in the city and a weekend home out on the coast. Seeing that there's no car in the driveway, I really breathe for the first time since leaving my parents' house. I'm so tired suddenly, and all I want to do is sleep. Gak and I get out and wander around the back of the creaking wooden house, trying to find a place to break in. Virginia and Adam are my parents' best friends, or at least, they're really close and all. I guess I'm pretty close to them too. They have 2 kids. The older boy, Jesse, with blonde hair, a long, curious face, and wide, gapped teeth, is exactly my little brother's age, and they're in the same class at school. His younger brother, Trevor, with equally blonde hair, is exactly my little sister's age. Our 2 families would go to the beach together, build bonfires in the sand, barbecue hot dogs and things. I would tell stories to all the children. I was always telling stories. We would play tag on the beach, swim together in the stinging cold ocean. The kids would all attack me, and I'd have to fight them off, but gently. I remember genuinely looking forward to those nights together. We'd all go back to our house and play music, like the Talking Heads or something, and dance, dance, dance. Adam is in his early 40s and is a brilliant graphic designer. Virginia is a writer and so sweet. We talked about movies and books and art and everything. I watched them take so much interest in their kids' lives. I watched them devote themselves to those children. They gave so much, you know? "Hey," says Gak, "come in here." Somehow, he's gotten inside and has the back door open and is looking around nervous like someone might see. I go in and we turn some lights on. The house is small, all wood floors, tattered throw rugs, and worn-out leather furniture. It is sparse but elegant, simple. We eat some cereal they have in the cupboard and spread out on the 2 couches. We talk for a while, saying nothing important. Eventually, I fall asleep. I don't dream. It's all just black. "Nick, quick, get up!" Gak is shaking me hard. What? "There's someone here." The blurred morning light softly fills the living room, and I look out on the thick bramble outside, wet and frosted with dew. There are some birds making shrill noises somewhere, and then I hear it, heavy footsteps in the kitchen. Instantly, I'm on my feet, and we're walking as silently as possible toward the door. I feel sick and high from adrenaline and fear. Behind us, I hear the footsteps coming faster, and then a man's voice calling out with a thick Hispanic accent. "Hey, you kids, stop!" We don't. We run to my car and jump in fast, starting the motor as the man keeps yelling after us. There's a whole crew of construction workers standing around the front of the house, and they're all staring at us as we drive off, looking at us with unveiled scorn. Or is it pity? Either way, I'm not laughing, and neither is Gak. We drive, not saying anything, still out of breath. It's so cold that I'm shivering, and I crank the heat up all the way. The Tamales Bay opens up gray and still in front of us, the sun just starting to rise above the distant green knuckle of Elephant Mountain. The sky is wrapped in thick white clouds. I smoke a cigarette and give one to Gak without him asking for it. I pull into the town of Point Reyes and stop next to the Bovine Bakery. Gak rolls his eyes. "Come on, man. Let's get back to the city. This country shit is tripping me out." "I'm just getting some coffee. You want some?" "Coffee, man? I don't drink that crap. Shit'll rot your stomach out." I laugh at that and go inside. I bring Gak some hot chocolate instead, and he seems pretty grateful for it. That bakery was where I used to get picked up for carpool every morning before school. I loved the croissants there, hot and fresh with chocolate insides that got all over the place. We'd meet there every morning at 7:15. The different parents of the kids who lived out in Point Reyes would take turns driving into the city. It was a long drive, so sometimes we'd listen to books on tape or play guessing games or whatever. When my little brother was born, he would be brought along on the rides, and more often than not, he'd end up crying the whole time. We would take turns, the other kids and I, inventing different ways of distracting him, quieting him, making him smile, or getting his attention so he would just stare at you with his wide-open eyes. We had songs we'd sing to him. Everyone was so patient. He became the carpool mascot. I think we all missed him the days he wasn't there. My stepmom drove a lot of the time. I'm not sure how it happened exactly, but one day she just invented this game called the complaining game. Basically, it was sort of like therapy. We'd get 5 minutes to complain about what was bothering us. We'd give one another points from 0 to 10, based on how honest, insightful, and revealing our shares were. Anyone who cried got an automatic 10. People cried pretty often. The carpool consisted of 3 girls and me, all in 6th grade. We'd start playing the complaining game and talk about feeling excluded at a certain birthday party or the way our teacher gave too much homework. Eventually, however, it would get increasingly personal, with each one of us opening up about our difficulties with our families and things like that. One of the girls, Teresa, who was always so quiet and shy and everything, started talking about her parents' divorce and the hardship of that and how her mom was drinking too much. We all started crying, and she was proclaimed the complaining game champion of all time. Of course, when we got to school, no one said anything about anything. I'd go off to play with my friends, and the girls would all go play with theirs. We wouldn't talk. Sometimes I'd see one of them getting picked on, and I'd do nothing to stop it. If someone in my group of friends was mean to them, I'd go along with it, and the girls were the same way. But in the car, with my stepmom driving, we were transformed. Wide open, like my little brother's eyes. So Gak and I pull out from in front of the Bovine with coffee and croissants and hot chocolate. When I almost hit this blue Volvo station wagon coming the other way, I slam on the brakes and lock eyes with the driver. She has black hair coming down over her face, but I recognize her. My stepmom. She sees me and I see her, and I back out of there so quick. She honks her horn wildly and speeds off after me. I drive recklessly over the road, but she is behind me, chasing me down. "What the fuck is going on?" "Dude, that's my stepmom." "Well, why the hell is she following us?" "Fuck if I know. Maybe you should stop and talk to her." "No way, man." In the rearview mirror, I can see her expression. It is strangely blank, resigned or something. I try hard not to meet her eyes, thinking about how disappointed she must be in me. My dad and Karen were married when I was 8 years old. They'd met the year earlier. I've always respected Karen so much, as a person, as a parent to me, as an artist. I remember watching Pollyanna with her when my dad was out of town. It was the first time we were together, me and her, just the two of us. I think we both thought the movie was pretty stupid, and we would crack each other up for months afterward, doing Haley Mills imitations. Karen took me on hikes with her and her friends around Marin. She took me to galleries and out to dinner. She read stories with me and bought me comic books. I respected her and, well, I've always wanted her respect, just so badly. I've always wanted her to like me, mostly because I like her so much. But how can Karen respect me now? I am ashamed of myself, and for a moment, I can't even remember why I'm doing any of this. What is the point? I guess it's crystal meth. I mean, that's always the bottom line, isn't it? That's the ultimate trump card for me. It is more powerful than anything. As we drive, I look out at the eucalyptus and buckeyes that line the road out to Stinson Beach. The grasses grow up wild and unkempt along Route 1. I'm giving my car everything it's got, screeching around the corners, but Karen stays pretty close. We pass the bat house, a white-painted shack in the middle of a field with the doors and windows all boarded up. They can't tear it down because it's been taken over by species of bats that exist nowhere else in the world. The sun is up, and the clouds are all gone, and the wet road is drying quickly underneath us. I take the next turn a little too quickly. My back tires slide out, and I almost spin. "This is so bad," says Gak. "This is so fucking bad." "Relax," I say. but I'm anything but relaxed. The gears of my car are grinding, and I'm starting to smell the rubber burning. The heat gauge is way up there. We go through Dogtown, past the Horseshoe Hill Road turnoff. The coastal town of Bolinas sits off to the northeast. That was where I learned to surf. The waves there roll into the lagoon gently, perfect for beginners. We'd surf out at the point, and then go eat pizza at the Bolinas bakery. When my little brother and sister were old enough, we'd take them out in the water and push them into the shore break on an old heavy longboard. We'd play road tag on the beach, where you'd draw trails in the sand that you had to run in. If you left the trail, you were out. And here Karen and I are, playing road tag on the broken, jagged highway. Smoke is billowing up from the hood of my car. I round a bend and lose the Volvo for a moment, turning up a heavily wooded driveway. I swing the car around and let it idle there. We wait. "I need a shot," says Gak. "Yeah." My shirt is soaked through with sweat. My hair is wet, sticking up. "Should we wait here?" I ask. "Okay." I see my stepmom's car go by, slow. She doesn't look up at us. She keeps moving. I turn off the car. It hisses loudly. Gak dissolves a huge amount of crystal in the jar. After he pulls some up for himself, I add a bunch of heroin. I let Gak shoot me up. He's so good at hitting me. Everything is all better after the tar and meth enters my bloodstream. I'm not even sure if that car chase was a dream or real. But my smoking car answers that question. Everyone knows I've relapsed now. I drop Gak off in the TL, and we make plans to meet up in a day or so. He says he'll start feeling out for people looking to sell some quantity. I turn on my cell phone. I have 27 messages. I listen to the first second or so of each one, then delete them. My stomach has dropped out completely, and there's a cold tingling up the back of my neck. I think about Spencer, my mom, my dad, my job, and friends I left behind. I wonder if I really have come too far to go back. Yes, I reason I have. Besides, things aren't so bad. It's not like I owe those people anything. This is my life to live, or throw away. Isn't that true? I tell myself again that it is. The only message I hear all the way through is one from Lauren. She wants me to come by after she has dinner with her parents. She says I can sneak in through the back gate, and maybe no one will see me. I have a while to wait, so I drive down to Baker Beach and go swimming again in the ocean. I bring my leather toiletry kit over to the men's room. I shower outside with my shorts on, and then step into the sand-covered bathroom, setting up my shaving equipment along the dark stained sink. I have a nice razor, and one of those bristled facial brushes from L'Occitane. I have a silver dish of shaving soap. I get the hair off my face and put lotion all over. I put on deodorant, I splash on some cologne and put some styling product in my hair. I cut my fingernails and toenails. Every once in a while, a stunned-looking beachgoer will come in, stare at me, then walk out quickly. Still, by the time I step out of there, I look halfway presentable. There's something about outward appearances that has always been important to me. I always thought I was so ugly. I mean, I really did. I remember being in LA at my mom's house as a little kid and just staring into the mirror for hours. It was like, if I looked long enough, maybe I'd finally be handsome. It never worked. I just got uglier and uglier. Nothing about me ever seemed good enough. And there was this sadness inside me, this hopelessness. Focusing on my physical appearance was at least easier than trying to address the internal shit. I could control the external, at least to a point. I could buy different clothes, or cut my hair, or whatever. The pit opening up inside me was too frightening to even look at. But I could get a new pair of shoes. And here, I can make sure I'm clean-shaven and have good skin. It's so shallow and ridiculous, and I see it, I do. But I'm powerless to change. I mean, I don't know how to change. All I can do is just shoot more goddamn drugs. I decide that maybe I should try and apply for a part-time job at some coffee shop or something. I drive to Clement Street, past the imported goods stores and stinking fish markets, the sidewalk dim sum stands and Chinese bakeries. People are crowded together, talking loudly, walking fast. I go into the Goodwill and buy a $40 Brooks Brothers suit and some nameless black shoes. After that, I cross over to the Richmond Branch Library and sign up to use a computer. The wait is about 2 hours. The place is dingy and so full of bodies that the books and walls themselves smell of sweat. A slick, shining homeless man with layers and layers of clothes sleeps in the doorway. Old women with peroxide hair argue in Russian. A pregnant mother pushes her sleeping child in a blue-checked stroller back and forth, back and forth. I smoke cigarettes and wait and scribble in my notebook. I try to write out a resume so I can type it up once it's my turn. Problem is, I can't really leave any references. My work history is solid, and my jobs always start off great, but soon degenerate and end badly. Usually, I just stop showing up for work one day. That's what happened at that rehab in Malibu. That's what happened with the 6 jobs before that. Actually, I've never seen a job all the way through to the end, not even in sobriety. I always get so overwhelmed trying to do everything perfectly. I can't do a job and not put everything I have into it. I need to be the best employee, the best coworker, the best whatever. I need everyone to like me, and I just burn out bending over backward to make that happen. Having people be mad at me is my worst fear. I can't stand it. There's this crazy fear I have of being rejected by anyone, even people I don't really care about. It's always better to leave them first, cut all ties, and disappear. They can't hurt me that way. No one can. That's why I have no references. But of course, there's always the hope that my new employer won't check them out. After printing about 20 copies of my resume, I drive over to the different business districts. I drop the resumes off at all the coffee shops and restaurants I come across. No one seems real interested. A couple of places give me times to come back for interviews. I drive through the financial district as I make my way down to the wharves. I park my car and look out on the white, beaten-down lighthouse of Alcatraz. The sky is quickly fading orange as the sun sets behind the horizon and a strong wind whips in across the bay. I pull on a jacket and sit drawing in my car for a while until the light is gone completely. I sleep, curled up on the front seat as best I can. I sleep until my phone rings and I hear Lauren's voice. "Come over, the back gate is open." I listen to music really loud as I drive to Seacliff, hiding my car several blocks away from her house as I'm paranoid all of a sudden. Plus, when I try to push open the tall wooden gate, there's a brick holding it closed. I push harder and the thing gives, but the noise I figure probably wakes up the whole neighborhood. Still, I make it to the back door, which is unlocked, and into Lauren's room without her parents finding me. We kiss for a long time and speak in whispers. She's jonesing pretty bad, so I start cooking up a shot for us both. "You ever done heroin?" I ask. She shakes her head. You want to try some? She nods. I add a good-sized chunk of dope to the mix. Lauren watches me closely. I soak it all up with some cotton and then draw a little bit into both needles. I'm kind of worried about giving her too much because it's her first time and all. I pass her one of the loaded rigs, and she digs around in her arm for a while with it, finally hitting. She draws some blood up into the mix and then pushes it all into her arm. I watch it sweep over her. She goes slack, kind of, her breath rushing out. She puts her small white hand against her small white forehead and leans back, almost falling. She catches herself, straightens up, then starts almost falling again. I laugh watching her. I shoot myself up, and we go over to the bed. There are pillows and comforters all over the place. The room is all dark, except for those Christmas lights, and I listen to Lauren's breath coming through in short little gasps. Her pupils are like nothing, pinned out. The blue overwhelms them, and I am high, high, high. We gotta be quiet, she says. Her voice comes out slurred and deep. I kiss her mouth, and it's like I'm pouring into her, or like I'm absorbing her into me. Her tongue is my tongue. Her lips, my lips. Her breath, mine. She moans, and I whisper, shh. We kiss like that, and then I have her clothes off fast, and mine, taking her nipples in my mouth, kissing her breasts roughly. We start to make love, and it's like the most perfect, hard, pulsing, organic movement between us. We're so there and not there, drifting on sensations of color and beating hearts, and the sweat coming down, down, down. We go so long, the bed is soaked through now with sweat. So much sweat. We're kissing, and locked together, and it just goes on. We're out of breath, but not. Every sensation is heightened. My hand holding hers is alive, sensual, hot. The bed is shaking, and the walls are shaking, and the ground and shelves and lamps and everything is shaking down around us, and we just don't care. We just don't. I want to stay like this forever, here with Lauren, high on meth and heroin. It just seems like I've reached the pinnacle of my existence, and I just don't want it to stop. 3.5 hours go by. I pull out and see that there is blood all over me. My skin has been chafed away. Still, I can't feel it or anything. Lauren lights a cigarette. We pass it back and forth between us. I want to shoot up some more, so I stand and feel all lightheaded, like I'm going to pass out. I look down and see my body, and I'm amazed at how much weight I've already started to lose. My legs are starting to eat away at themselves. My hips are jutting out all dramatically. I teeter my way to the bathroom, piss, then hunt around for the rest of the dope and meth, still in that cotton. That's when I hear the knocking. Someone's knocking at Lauren's bedroom door, and I feel this rush of panic. I lock myself in the bathroom and hold my breath. There are voices outside now, and I figure, fuck man, it's over. I see the jar with the cotton in it and a dirty rig. Since we're busted anyway, I decide to suck up the rest of it and shoot it before getting thrown out of there, or thrown in jail. I sit on the toilet seat, as quietly as possible, hunting for a vein. I push off. There is a brief moment of like, oh shit, as I fall forward, crashing into the solid glass shower door. I bounce off that, hit the floor, and then it's all black for some time.